It's a strange thing about top of the table. Most players, I think, perhaps feel that professionalism is top of the table and red ball is amateur, which of course is nonsense really, because every great professional that has achieved the real heights has always started with red ball and learnt the rudiments of the game, the angles of the table and so on, and then perhaps advanced to top the table. But however, that's a long story, and we're going to consider the benefits of playing top of the table and perhaps the best way to tackle it. Now, we all know that it's a very difficult game, and I think it's fair to say that if we're really going to be honest, you have to have a certain flair. You definitely require a skill of applying side in the gentle and sweet way that billiards requires. You have to be very discerning about pace of cue ball and object ball. So all in all, within a small area of the table, the control is very difficult. I don't really believe that you can teach top of the table. As in red ball, you can positively teach, because there are positive aims to go for, which we won't go into now, but I'm sure you will understand what I mean. Whereas when you play top of the table, there are basic principles that you should play to and try to observe as often as possible. But most of the time, there are slight improvisations by applying a touch of side, check or running, or just a breath of side, a little bit of stun, top run through. All these things come in. Now, whereas in snooker the object is to avoid all those things as much as possible, at top of the table, if you're really going to be an expert, you can't avoid them. If you do avoid them, well, then you're not going to get so far, in my opinion. And I'm sure all players that have achieved any high standing at top of the table would agree with that. So what we should try and do is tackle the basic principles of top of the table, and then when you have to, as you become acquainted with it, you can apply all the little moves, the improvisations that you have to make according to your own ability to improvise. And the more you play, the more the game will unfold, and so you will advance. Let's say this, the fascination of it is incredible. To me, I still play, I still find sweet little moves, pretty little things happen which fascinate me, and I try to recapture them and so on and so forth. But however, what I have done is to draw the basic lines to the corner pockets and a line through the billiard spot across the table, similar to the baulk line. And that line gives you a very good guide as to where you should try and keep the object white. Now, we all know about the floating white. Well, now, that really means that you're basically floating it about just behind the billiard spot, making little cannons to avoid having to respot the red down the table on the other spot. So it really is a question of learning the basics of top of the table, having a plan in your own mind, one that you feel suits you, with a couple of shots that you've improvised for yourself, which you seem to be able to handle, and then take it from there and play and play and play. And as I said, it will unfold. Now, the purpose of the line through the billiard spot across the table really helps you so much when you're, shall we say, potting a red and having to go down the table a little bit, over the line as it were, to get a return cannon from white to red, or the other way round, red to white, to keep the balls gathered around the spot. Now, if we go to the diagram, you will see that the advantage of having the awareness of that line, which of course you won't have in real play, but it's a line that you should always imprint on your mind. It's an imaginary line, and every time you play a pot or a cannon where you need to put your cue ball at a certain point to get a nice little return cannon, what I always call something like a miniature drop cannon, so that you gently push one ball to the cushion and fetch it back and gather the balls. And it's only over a distance of probably 18 inches, no more. These are the angled shots which are so difficult to achieve when you're playing to a spot on the table where there is no indication, no visual aid to tell you where to put the ball. If you have that line in mind, instead of playing to get to a certain spot, you think to yourself, well, I want to be 3 inches above that line, or I'd like to be just above it, or 6 inches, whatever. And you find that in your concentration, as you're playing, that feeling of confidence, of knowing that you have a guide, it's like having a little fella sitting on your shoulder saying, go on, that's all right, just get 6 inches above that line. And you just begin to accept it, and the concentration comes, and you find that it will help you tremendously. But that's enough of the words. Let's have a look at the lines and a little demonstration, because there is nothing like seeing it. Well, there we are. Every player's dream of top of the table. And it arrives very often, so why not find out about it? Now, there we are. We've already said extract as much as you can with the 10 break system from that. Now, there comes a time when the cue ball sends this ball, for one reason or another, further away than you want. And the thing to value in top of the table is to keep this white within an area that you make your own, which is your idea of being safe. This distance here. Now, when it gets too far away, you've obviously got to find means of getting it back. Well, now, in doing that, when the white begins to get towards the side cushion, either side, it's very difficult to get it back this way, back there. But it's not so difficult to get it up this way. So therefore, the purpose of this line, this imaginary line, is when you play your cannon to come underneath the red, underneath the white, off the red, instead of just dropping onto it there and trying to do that, which is very difficult, play with all the freedom, because remember, the white has got away here to the side of the red. You can send that object white up to the line there, and about there. Now that means you're ending up with a pot, something like this, wherever it is, but the fact is that with that ball being up to the line, the margin of error above the line is so much greater. Now there, I've gone to a point there which is 14 inches above the line. So we're quite a considerable way from the top cushion. But still the shot is perfect. Now, this is the point. You've played the pot with freedom. You're not trying to judge this cue ball to a perfect position. And with this ball being on the line, it means that your margin of error allows you to play with freedom, which is half the battle. Now, just as an example, if the ideal shot that you want, let's say you've gone well up the table, you come along, you can send the white back there, back to the spot, knock the red over there, pot your red, go in there, pot goes back on the spot, you come back this way, you can then come under the white, or you can run through and just slip off the white. But if in playing the shot when you were here and you send that white back to there and you're ending up with a pot like that, which is a very simple pot, make it as simple as you like, you have to get what I call this mini drop cannon. That's the position you want to achieve, is there, so that you can play the cannon off the white to get just top side of the red, and you end up with a shot in your mind's eye, something like that, there, so that you can pop the red and commence a little more rescuing of this white ball. Now, when you're in that position, I can assure you that is not an easy shot, to get the perfect position here to make that a nice cannon. But if the white is there, that shot becomes so simple because you can play with freedom, and that's half the battle. And these are the things, they're so simple but they go undetected and people just don't find them out. Now the other one is this, and these are two, in my opinion, of the most common shots that occur, rescue shots, which go totally unnoticed. And might I add, when I say through my experience, I'm only passing on what I learned, well, how long ago, goodness me, 1929. That's long enough, isn't it? With Tom Newman, who was the great player before Joe Davis. And these were just one or two of his moves, and they really do cover a multitude of shots around the spot where they're very similar, nothing is the same. No two shots are the same at this game, you must remember that. So now look, I've set up a perfect position here. There. Now that, again, is a perfect position, and it will happen so many times where you can play the cannon, send the red forward here, come under the white, and gently, because you're close to the spot, you can protect the white ball, keep it close to the spot. And then take your pot and come up here, and that's super. Now, just look at the difference. Back to the same position. This is exactly the same position. Now, if you come here, now I can assure you, from this position here, that shot is not on. And one who's not aware of what to do will probably look at it and try and pop the red and screw back, or play a cannon, come under the white, do all sorts of silly things. Whereas, if you work it out, because you've come from perfection 1 inch there, you're now sort of, I wouldn't say struggling, but you're not making it easier. In fact, by just using a little bit of check side off this cushion, there, you can send this red from the spot back to the cushion and back again, so you're putting more pace in the red ball, taking it a little thicker and coming past the white here, which is about an inch past the white, and with check side, that will straighten the white up and come up behind the white and knock it to there. And you'll be left with a shot something like that. There's a cue ball there, and you're in perfect position. And all these shots will reoccur 1,001 different ways, and you have to have the awareness to apply a little bit of check side or running side. It's the same as if the white gets a little bit too far that way. If you have the ability, from the same shot, you can play slightly thicker on the red, send the red maybe to there, come off the cushion with just a breath of side, in this case running side, left-hand side, and instead of coming up under the white and knocking it to there, you actually catch it just a bit thinner and just glance off it and just give it that little extra push towards the spot, so that you end up with potting that red, simple pot, and coming back to here, and you're in perfect position. Now, I'm sure if you just try these things, and if I can just play this one, just to show you. Now that is perfection. That is perfection. Now, we are rather a little bit iffy. There's a pot. I could pot and go through and come out here. Have to be very accurate. Don't want to disturb the white, and it's getting far enough away anyway. So why bother? Take the red a little bit thicker, come through to there, check off that cushion, which straightens the white up to there, touches the white, and not only that, by taking the red thicker, bearing in mind it's all about weight factor, you're hitting more of the red, so therefore you put more pace into the red, and by hitting more of the red you take the pace off the cue ball, so it gives you freedom of play. So just watch this with a little bit of check side, there we are, absolutely perfect. Now just get about a few inches above the line with a breath of check, there. Perfect. So now you put the red back on the spot, and there we are. Now there's just a couple of shots where you can build and build around them, and the confidence they will give you, and they will open up the door to so many shots. So give it a try. Well, let's try this top of the table with just a practice routine, and I'll try and talk my way through it, and if I miss or break down, or I have to go away to keep going, I will stop anyway. There's no point in going away and then trying to come back at this stage. We're just having a look at top of the table just to see if we can find just a few points out, and maybe I may mention something that perhaps has slipped past you and you haven't thought about, which will help you considerably. Now the two white lines here, I've put them on the table, on the cushions, to save drawing the white line all the way through it. It tends to spoil the cloth anyway, and it puts you off when you're playing a bit. So that's a fair indication of the position of the cue ball as we're playing. That is above the line of aim. No side. Down over the line. Simple pot. Simple cannon, no side. Now here's a shot that, to keep close to the work, you can actually pop that red to this far knuckle and quite well inside the fall of the pocket, or outside rather of the fall. And if you apply a bit of right hand side and play it gently, you'll actually throw the red into the pocket, and it permits you to play a gentle stroke. You'll find that will creep into your game quite a lot. Push through the red off the side cushion. Just above the line. Gentle cannon. Touch of right hand side. Now I can, if I wish, I can pop the red and stop there, or I can go a little higher and return the white even closer to the spot. So let's try that one. Now left hand side, not too hard. Now that's come out nicely. Give me a lovely angle that I don't have to use the side cushion here. I can just screw up. Plain ball, very thick on the red. Well, this time I can use the cushion. I could play without, but I'll use the cushion with a touch of check, just to keep it above the line and fairly straightish, to give me a natural angle, so that all I have to do is pop the red. And that gives me a natural angle on the cannon. No side, gentle cannon. Now again, I can stun up here, I can get that white back again, so now a little stun down the table. There we are. This time I won't need the rest. Now make sure I just push the red towards the pocket. Just a hint of left hand side. That's got it really nice and tight up to the spot. So now a little bit of check side. Don't want it running too far down the table. Now a little bit of right hand side, check off the red. That gives me a tiny angle. In fact, I could stay there, or I can screw back. And as the white is this side of the spot, why not screw back and be in perfect position? And when you're screwing back like this, make sure your cue is really parallel. Parallel to the bed of the table, there. Don't play like this. Again, no side needed here. Now, a very, very sweet little stun, but it's got to be sweet. See, and that's taken me just an inch above the line, which means now that I have quite a simple pot, nice and close, and all I've got to do is just knock it in. Again here, no side needed, maybe a hint of check, right hand side. Now I've moved the white, my distance anyway, which is about 3 inches, and the white again is this side. I've got a very simple pot, so I can take the opportunity, if I'm feeling good, to keep that white tight to the spot. So now I've come down the table a bit, underneath the white, not too hard. Nice little touch. Now check side with a red, stop the white going too far down the table. Actually, I could have gone a fraction further there, so I'm going to push that red off the side cushion. Very thin, and fortunately I've got just a little angle which allowed me to pull that white down the table. And the more you can avoid those tricky ones, that wasn't easy, that shot. And again now, a shot that I wouldn't advocate if you can avoid it, and that is having to screw back. So when you're doing this shot, don't try and screw all the way back. It isn't necessary. Just strike low, cue nicely, and just screw back 4 or 5 inches. Shorten up on your butt end. There we are, perfect. And that really is a little bit of a get out of trouble shot. Now it's fairly straight, but because I'm close I can keep control. There. Now again I've gone fairly straight, so I've got to play this with side and be careful. Make sure you cue nicely. Take it as a very difficult shot, not an easy one. There aren't any easy shots. Again, I've gone too straight again for comfort, so it's another straight screw back, not too far. Now again, because I'm close, I can keep control of this and play a little stun off the red onto the white, sending the red to the cushion. So really I've got myself out of trouble, or possible trouble there. Again, a little bit of left hand side, check off the red. And gradually this white, because of the previous little errors I've made, which happens all the time, the white is getting further than I like it away from the spot. So we'll gradually see if we can get it back. So I've come a little further down the table this time. Now, if I play this and push the red towards the pocket, and as long as I can come off this white on this side, on the same side as the red, that will send the white back here, because I should be using right hand side. See, now I've given myself a greater angle behind the spot here, so that when I pop this red, I can get underneath the white and get that white up to this line here. That's the important thing. That's what you want to work for when you begin to get in trouble.